Mr. Carmouche was and remains the attorney for former Shreveport Fire Chief Craig Mulford. Yesterday, all charges dismissed in association with what's called the Station 8 scandal of a couple or 3 years ago. Chief Mulford was charged with interfering with the investigation. Since it's a while back, could you sort of review what they said he did?
It's hard to tell because they filed 5 counts against the chief for malfeasance in office. They were saying in their indictments that I guess that he had didn't act quick enough in his investigation. The whole thing was just a fiasco. It should have never happened. Should have never been charges. Should have never been filed. It cost the chief his job. I'm sure some people believe that once you charge, people believe that he must have done something. Well, he didn't. And he faced a 3-year battle of trying to prove that he didn't do anything wrong, didn't commit any crimes, but he still got fired. He lost his job. Just a terrible thing.
Mr. Paul, previously, Judge John Mosley had refused to drop the charges. It had gone on for some time. Why do you think Judge Mosley decided now, I'm not going to say out of the blue, but kind of out of the blue, just to let the whole thing go?
Well, the previous motion that we filed was one for selective prosecution. And that was, we were saying, hey, if they believe the chief did something wrong, there were a whole bunch of people in the fire department and around the fire department that knew of these crimes that were committed against the mentally handicapped men. And none of those crimes were against the chief. The judge said, well, it's not selective prosecution, and denied the motion. Our latest motion was a motion to quash based on the fact that the allegations didn't set out any crime. To commit a crime in any state, you have to have an intent to do it. You have to have a crime that you know about that says, hey, if you do this, you're going to be charged with something like malfeasance.
Paul, pardon me, what do you think it says? What do you think it says about the case or lack of that the prosecution did not fight the dismissal of the charges?
Yeah, I think the new administration looked at the case and was thinking, what are we doing with this case? Why, they inherited it from a previous administration, and I think had they been there, had I still been DA like I was for 30 years, this case would have never come to court. It's very important that the district attorney screen charges and make sure before somebody's charged with a crime that there's a case. And in this one, all I had was rumors and misinterpretations of statements. The investigation went on for years. It just, to me, I'm saying there's a lot of other things that could have happened, a lot of other cases that could have been investigated that maybe were put aside because of the focus on this case, where there was no evidence and no proof.
Paul, I heard from a former fireman told me yesterday that in his opinion and the opinion of a lot of firefighters around the area, current and former, he said this was a witch hunt. Do you agree with that? And if that's the case, what was the purpose?
Well, I'm still trying to figure that out. I have some ideas, but I don't want to say them publicly because they may not be the correct things. But it looked to me, and that's why Chief Mulford hired me early on before any charges were brought. It became obvious to him and to me that they were looking at him, looking at some way to get to him, and we don't understand that. When the chief was arrested after the indictments, I said then that this whole mess is ridiculous. This is not a criminal case.
Would you pardon me, Paul? Would you say that it was politically motivated in some way?
I don't think so. I just don't understand why that was done. I don't know if any politician that was pushing it. It's just hard to imagine that a good person like Chief Craig Mulford had to go through this. He was in the fire department for 32 years. He worked his way up from the very bottom to the top to become the chief of the fire department. And there's so many things that were going on during this time, and so many misunderstandings, misinterpretations of what was said and not said, that it was hard to get through it all. Had we gone to trial in this case, and if the judge had denied our motion again, then it would have come out clearly that this was a witch hunt, and it was ridiculous. It should have never happened. But it would have taken us probably a month to try it to be able to prove his innocence.
Current DA James Stewart worked for you when you were DA. Did his having that position now, do you think, help settle this whole mess?
Well, I think what helped settle the whole mess was having someone in the DA's office that's reasonable and understands real crime and understands the duties that the district attorney has to carry out. That's what I think they were looking at, and they took the position that if you can convince the judge that this motion should be granted, then we're not going to fight back, because we need to move on to much more serious cases.
Okay, we're talking about more than 2 years out of a man's life here. What is former Chief Mulford's plan? Does he want to go back to work? Does he want sort of reparation, some kind of reparation from the city? Is there going to be a lawsuit coming? I mean, if he's got a lot of options, a lot of choices, what do you think?
Well, that's the next step. Of course, we'll be going back to the Civil Service Board. They have been waiting for the results of the criminal case before they handled the appeal that Chief Mulford had filed, and that was, he was appealing his firing, saying there was no grounds to fire him. So now we'll be going back to that board first, in hopes of them reinstating him or saying he should be reinstated.
So, pardon me, Chief Mulford does want to go back to work.
Well, we've got to sit down, and this kind of came up quick, this dismissal of all charges, and we're going to sit back. We're going to talk to the city administration, and see whether we can work this out some way or other. We don't believe that they can take the present fire chief and remove him and put Chief Mulford back in.
The way I understand the way it works with civil service is that if Chief Mulford wanted to go back to work, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you might know, that if he wants to go back to work, and since he's been replaced by Chief Wolverton, that he could take the next highest position available. Would he be happy with that?
Well, that's an option that I'm sure the chief will have to look at. We haven't even discussed that issue at this point. But, he wants his good reputation back. He wants his good work ethic back. And he just wants everybody to know that he never did anything wrong to start off with.
So, in your opinion, as his attorney, what would it take to use your words, get his good reputation back?
Well, as much publicity as possible about the fact that this charge should have never been brought, and that the chief is out there. He's a good Christian man. He's very understanding. He's taken it. He took the whole matter better than most of us would have when he said, God has a plan for all of us.
There's hardly anyone close. God forbid you get in any kind of trouble. But I was going to say there's hardly anybody more of a confidant, closer to somebody than his defense attorney. That being the case, you look 6 months. Let's say you look 12 months down the line. What would it take to make Craig Mulford a happy man?
I'm not sure. We're going to take this one day at a time and one step at a time, and move forward with trying to get it all settled, both the civil end. Now that the criminal end is settled, we go move forward with the civil battles. So
there's going to be a civil battle.
Well, there should be, and hopefully not. We're going to be meeting with the city attorney's office and some of the others, and we'll be in front of the Civil Service Board shortly, I'm sure, and try to get that matter worked out. And the chief, because of his experience and his good reputation as fire chief, some other city may say, hey, if he's available, we want him.
Mr. Paul Carmouche, defense attorney for former Shreveport Fire Chief Craig Mulford. We appreciate your time and your straightforwardness. Always a pleasure, Mr. Paul. Thank you for helping us out.
Thank you.